It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
The Health in the Real World podcast is sponsored by...
My name is Randy Herring, and I'm the author of The Fitness Mindset, 7 Habits for Peak Performance. Buy my book to build strong, healthy habits and transform your mind and your body.
Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. I'm Chris Janke, and I am joined with 3 guests today. All 3 guests have been featured in the podcast previously, and really excited to have them all back. So first off, we have Yolandi Hamilton. Yolandi, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Jordan Rax. Jordan, how's it going today?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
And Dr. Vineet Nair. Dr. Vineet, how's it going today?
Great, thanks for having us.
All right. So I was telling all of you beforehand, as you've already all been on, but most likely people have not seen all of your episodes. So quick introduction as far as who you are and how you got into what it is that you're doing. So I will open up the floor. You guys can go with whatever order you want to go.
Well, I am Yolandi Hamilton. I'm a personal style and confidence coach. And it was a long, tumultuous personal journey, as well as observational experience that led me to where I am now, over 16 years in retail and studying fashion and design.
Very nice.
I'll go next. I'm Vineet. I'm a family physician, and I've been in practice since about 2003. So pretty much involved in the health world in my job for a long time. But as always, things kind of morph into being more of a personal thing as well, trying to figure out how I could myself feel well, and then kind of break things down to the most simplest basic things so I can kind of help educate my patients to focus on what really makes the most difference for their health.
All right, I'm going to go. I am Jordan Rax. I got my start into this about 5 years ago after a lot of struggling and settling. Fitness was the most logical fallback to go to. I started out with a celebrity personal trainer here in New York. And then from there, it just snowballed into this. Now I'm involved in different entertainment ventures and moving over to the producer side of things.
That's awesome. Exciting. Yolandi, you and Jordan should talk, because I'm sure a lot of actors need personal confidence coaches and wardrobe help. So people watching this, they may be going through either a health crisis of their own, or maybe that's bleeding into something else. But let's try to bring it back to health and talk about it doesn't have to be like a rock bottom, but any type of obstacle that you had to overcome. So for me personally, in college, I had the pizza and beer diet. This was totally self-inflicted. I get that. But as a senior, I was a resident advisor, and I was maybe a little bit stricken with, senioritis, and I was just a little bored and ready to leave. And our meal money that I got for being a resident advisor was accepted by Domino's Pizza down the street, and they would deliver the pizza to my room. So I'm not exaggerating. 4 or 5 nights a week, I would eat an entire large pizza by myself and drink a 6-pack of beer. And I got pretty big, and more detrimental than that was just the lack of energy. And within a couple of years after college, I had shapen up and became a personal trainer, because that whole process was just pretty amazing. How I just had all this energy, and it was a great thing. This was 20 years ago, so it's not like fresh on my memory, but every time I talk about it, it's like really exciting to remember. Any of you have those sort of rock bottom moments, or any holes that you had to dig yourself out of?
Oh, I absolutely did. In the throes of back up slightly, my son had just been born, maybe a year and a half to 2 years prior. My marriage was on the rocks, shall we say. And being in, retail and style, the thing you see are these thin, beautiful models. And so the aspiration is to be like what you see. And I did not realize how obsessive I had become about tracking all of my nutrient needs. And it wasn't just like, oh, my macros, I need like so many carbs, let's balance it out with proteins. No, it was like to the ounce, like everything I ate was measured on the scale and had to be exactly like the portion size, and calories had to be exact. And if I ate too much, I had to exercise to burn it off. It was a really nasty, obsessive, dark time in my life, trying to fit this ideal that I felt like was going to help everything else in my life go better if I just could be thin enough and look like these models. And it was a very sad time.
How did that, like, I have to ask, like, how did that affect being a mother? Because I know, like, I don't have children yet, but I can like only imagine like doing all of that and then also trying to be present, for your son.
It was exhausting. And there was a point where I realized it had to stop because my son was speaking, of course, at that age. And we were in the bathroom brushing our teeth. Actually, do I still have them? I used them in a live recently. Oh, they're right here. He found my tweezers on the counter and he picked them up. And this is what they look like. And he was like, "Mommy." And I was like, that is not me. But that's what he saw. And I realized like, oh, I have gone too far. I look like,
right. That was the image that you were like, yeah, that was a precedent you were setting.
Exactly. And I knew at that point that I was setting up some very negative cycles for him to repeat as an adult. Like whatever I'm modeling as a woman, as a mother, as a partner, that's what he sees. And that's what he's going to look for in his future. And that 180'd everything for me. Like the exercise still maintained, but the obsessive measuring stopped. And it was just, I'm hungry, I need to eat some food.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I might just bounce off of that a little bit too. I mean, I think just one of my points I talked about before is about just, it is like this is super busy with work and with kids and with everything that you're trying to do. And then you add on like all the things you want to do to be healthy. If you get into it, you can spend a lot of time on that. And there's not enough time in the day. Like there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy to do all that kind of stuff. So like for me, it was this weird time where I was kind of just, feeling like kind of lousy. I hadn't been feeling my best. And I thought, I know better. I know how to be healthier than this. This is just silly that I'm not doing it. And my wife and kids were out of town for like a week. And I was like, I'm going to nail this. I'm going to do everything I need to do to be healthy. And even with nobody else in the house, I couldn't do everything. It's just, there's just too many things to meditate, to exercise, to eat healthy, to take some personal time, to relax, to do my job. Like even in with nothing else to distract me, I still couldn't do it. So it just got me thinking that, I just got to focus on what I can do. And then the rest just got to slide and just prioritize.
Yeah, no. And that's like, yeah, I don't have kids yet. I want to be a mother, but it's like to think, because like, my parents did the best they could with, what they had at the time. And I remember telling my trainer, I wrote him like a thank you card the first time I came to New York. And I was like, I love my mom. She's been an impact on my life, but hearing her, sometimes have those negative self-talks in the mirror, that did imprint on me. So I was outgrowing things that she put on herself, which isn't, I think we all deal with that in some aspect. So, just for me, I was in a point in my life where I was settling hardcore. Chris kind of knows about this because we talked about it. I was settling with everything. I was taking the easiest, least resistant path I could. I had always been fit. I'd always played sports through school. And then I found myself in this relationship and I let myself go and I was overeating, like fast food, you name it. I was there. And I just noticed, I woke up one morning, I was actually going to my sister's open house for her high school graduation. And I just cried. I was like looking at myself. I was like, I don't even recognize who I am anymore. I don't even know who this person is looking. And then it was like within a week or so, I started on this regimen that this trainer had rolled out onto Instagram. I thought, worst case scenario, doesn't work. Best case scenario, I lose a few pounds. And then it just took off.
Wow. That's awesome. And just for those of you listening, Jordan's experiencing the New York battery shortage of 2022 with the beeping smoke alarm in the background.
Sorry.
It happens to everybody. We can all definitely relate, but thank you all.
Usually at 2 in the morning, I find, but
yeah, 2 in the morning. Well, thank you guys for sharing your stories. That's great. I think I like bringing these stories to people. You know, if we're health professionals or we're helping to coach people in a variety of different ways, I think it's important that people know that we didn't just wake up and just all of a sudden, or, we were born healthy or, anything like that. We've had our struggles too. So how has each of your stories personally, whether it was health or wellness or, Vineet, you not being able to cram everything you want into your day, or Jordan or Yolandi with your personal struggles that we've all been through, how has that led to where you are now? I want to start with you, Yolandi, because I remember our episode, the first one, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know your career existed. So
I
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, really, it was born out of the experience that I had just shared, and kind of what Jordan just talked about, how she had to outgrow these things that she saw her mother talking about herself. And as women, we get these ideas implanted in us. And not to say that it doesn't happen to the men folk as well, but it's more prevalent with the women, and these ideals that we have to uphold. And so, parents, especially moms, grandmas, aunts, say things about their physical bodies, and not even necessarily directed towards other people, that we then hear or overhear and take that to mean, oh, I should be doing that too. So if they look in the mirror and they're like, oh, well, it's 8 o'clock, I'm a little chunky, I got to lose some 10 pounds, I'm not going to eat dinner. We then think, oh, I shouldn't be eating after 8 o'clock either. And this kind of trickles over into the things that we wear, how we represent ourselves as human beings in the world. And, it's unavoidable when someone sees you. Within 10 seconds, they've already made snap judgments about who you are, what you represent, and what they can expect from you, and whether or not they even like you. So by having all of these beliefs that we've picked up along the way, it really can detrimentally affect how we're showing up in the world, and of course our eating choices as well. It's not just about the clothes that you're wearing, it's all the things that go into what you're wearing, as far as how you're eating, how your body looks, how you feel about your body, and then all these beliefs that either allow or don't allow you to fully express that. And that's how I ended up where I am now, because I saw the coalescing of all of these things really just kind of ruining some women's lives. Honestly, it sounds dramatic, but it really worms into your head. And
definitely not dramatic, definitely true.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, that's where we are now.
What type of advice would you give to somebody who is caught in that? Maybe they've heard their mom, their aunt, their grandma throughout, or maybe a man, with their paternal, role models. What would you tell them as far as how to get at least past that initial hang up, right? It's like a hang up. How do people get past this about comparing themselves to other people, or modeling after those super skinny tweezers or whatever it is, right? How do we do that?
It's really about recognizing the root of where these thoughts came from. So if you hear, like I said, mom say that she shouldn't be eating dinner after 8 o'clock because she's got to lose a few pounds, and that's something that you believe, you may not remember that incident even happening. But if you start to write it down, and what I always recommend is write down the thought that you're having. So I shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. because it's unhealthy, and walk away from it for a little while. And it'll kind of stick in the back of your mind, like, oh, I shouldn't eat after 8 o'clock. And you'll start thinking about, where did I hear this? When did I see this? Was it something I maybe read in a magazine and I just absorbed as truth because they sounded like they knew what they were talking about? And then you have to go back and really detail how it affects you now, and why you think you picked it up in the first place. And then, is it true? Is it something that is still true to me? Maybe eating after 8 p.m. aggravates acid reflux for you. And so you shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. because as soon as you lay down in bed, you have a flare up, and nobody wants that. So you have to evaluate, where did this belief come from? Is this still true to me? Is it relevant? And if it's not, then you have to flip it and write something that is relevant to you along the same lines. Something like, if it's not true, it is perfectly healthy for me to eat dinner no matter what time of day or night it is.
Like
And
that.
just to like piggyback off of what she said, I think a lot of what we're experiencing in today's society is an examination of what is true, right? So a lot of what I can speak from my experience, but a lot of like when I'm taking a step back and I'm examining is like, what is true and how much of this is projections, because we have a keto diet, we have the paleo diet. Everybody holds their own truth as to what life looks like. And that goes beyond health, that goes spirituality, personal relationships. So I think taking a step back, letting it marinate, like Yolandi said, and kind of being like, is this true? Or is this a projection of what someone has experienced in their lifetime?
Yeah, I could go another step back too in talking about like, what do you mean by it's not healthy or it is healthy, right? Because I think we get really confused right now with health is always looking like a fitness model or looking like a celebrity or looking like an action hero, right? And that's like, from my standpoint, that's not healthy. That's not what I'm trying to get my patients to do, right? I'm not necessarily trying to get them to lose weight even. I'm just trying to get them to, like, when I think about health, I think about like giving themselves the best chance to live into their 80s or 90s with minimal disability. That's like health. And in my mind, that's way easier than looking like a six pack and Rocky or whoever your celebrity choice is, right? So trying to change that mindset, like, what do you actually mean when you say you want to be healthy? Like, maybe it is how you look, and that can be important to some people for lots of different reasons. But hopefully it's not the only thing you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, I think with health, when you put more of the foundational things first, such as feeling good, proper sleep, proper nutrition, hydration, all those foundational things, then that little cherry on top is like, the way you look. And obviously, Yolanda, you mentioned it, that people make snap judgments. So I don't know, maybe an attorney, wants to fit nicely in a suit, and them getting healthy, the way they look is a motivator, because maybe getting healthy will affect business, right? Or something like that. But obviously it should not be I shouldn't even say should. It most likely is not going to be the number one reason why you want to get healthy, like, oh, I just want to look good. But it's okay for it to play a role, right? We want to look good, we want to present ourselves well in the world. But
I think that went back to like what we talked about in my episode is like your why evolves over time, right? So eventually it is like, oh, I want to look really great in a swimsuit. And then it's like, oh, well, like, yeah, the swimsuit's great, but like, I want to be able to get to my 80s without being on a medication or on as few medications as I can, or just even having more energy because I'm eating better food. Like, that's my opinion. It starts out as a looks.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah, no, I feel
not
like,
for me, yeah.
No, I agree, because I think at some point, my goals changed for my activities. Be like, my number one goal is don't hurt myself, right? Like, I don't want to like injure myself doing something that I probably don't need to be doing, because it's meant to be fun and enjoyable and make me feel good, not to push myself to the point that I'm laid up for months on end, kind of thing.
Yeah, very true. I just signed up my kids for the monthly membership to Rock and Jump, which is like a trampoline park, like an indoor. And every time I go there, I was telling you, Vineet, before the show, but every time we go there, it's like $100 to $120 to get everyone to jump for 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, it's not cheap. And the monthly membership is $85 a month for unlimited jumping. So I'm like, all right, this is a no-brainer. I'm definitely going to do this. So we're there yesterday, and I can definitely relate to what you just said, Vineet, about I'm on the membership too. So I went in my little wristband, and I'm jumping on the trampolines, and I'm telling everyone, like, guys, you shouldn't stay on my trampoline. Like, I weigh like 5 times more than you do. I'm going to hurt you. Just stay over there. There's plenty of room. And my number one goal was to walk out of there on my own volition and not in a stretcher or spraining my ankle or hurting my back. And it was great. It was just, nice and light, and it felt good. 20 years ago, I would have been jumping off the sides of the walls and doing all this other stuff. But it was nice to just feel like I can use my body in a way that is respectful of my body, and also, life enhancing as well. So I think, yeah, our goals definitely evolve over time. Yeah. So that was very fun though. All right.
Trampoline parks though.
Oh my God, it was so fun. I think we're probably going to go like 3 days a week for the whole summer. It's nice and air conditioned and everything. So when it's 90 plus degrees, that's definitely very nice. But I want to give each of you a chance to wrap up. Like, tell us how people can continue to hear about you? Do you have a podcast? Do you have books out, programs, Instagram handles? How do people get in touch with you?
Okay, I'll go first. You can find me over on Instagram and or Facebook at Hamilton Styling. Handle is the same on both platforms. I'm also over on LinkedIn, and I have a podcast that's currently on hiatus, Intentional Style, and that's on all major platforms.
Okay. Well, I've written a book called Healthier You, Family Doctor's Guide to the Fundamentals of Better Living. It's available on Amazon and usual kind of outlets online. And I'm online at VinitMD for Twitter and Instagram and those kind of things.
I am on Instagram mostly. That is the best place to find me or get a hold of me. And my handle is at It's Jordan Rax. I do have IMDb as well, but you're not going to be able to get in touch with me that way. So Instagram is king.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm Chris Janke of Health in the Real World. Again, joined today by Vinit Nair, Yolandi Hamilton, and Jordan Rax. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. And glad you guys all got to meet each other. And we will continue to be in touch and do our best in motivating people and getting everyone out there, getting healthy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the